Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Look Forward. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Brad.
There's part of me that's really impressed watching a presidential candidate like self-immolate in real time and how the race has flipped so badly in like 2 weeks, basically. And then that part that is really hilarious is juxtaposed with the part of me that like also can't believe that it's still essentially like a coin flip race at this point. Like, what's wrong with half of half of my fellow Americans? You don't have to worry about that bullshit anymore. I forgot.
No, so. I look down. I look up at you, but down on you people. As being ants at the moment. Yeah, look, it's a hell of a 2-week turnaround. I gotta say, from the I think we're gonna win to we're going to crush this man under our boot and it's going to be embarrassing. And I love it. It does feel good. It feels good to be riding high, right? As everyone often does, it doesn't matter. You got to vote. Yeah. We know. Like we're all doing that. Right. But it does feel good to feel very positive about the race. What I'm enjoying the most is waiting for the other shoe to fall this time, which is not on our side. I'm waiting for the other shoe to fall on the Republican side because there's a lot of, I feel like, not to run this analogy into the ground, I feel like there's a lot of shoes being juggled. And one of them is going to drop and it's going to be, I think, Biden having a terrible debate and then Biden exiting and then Kamala Harris being endorsed and Kamala Harris rising and JD Vance coming in and like, everyone knowing he's a couch fucker and like all of those things are all big stories and also into dolphin porn. Like all of those stories are huge, but I don't think we're done quite yet. And I don't mean like an October surprise. I mean an intentional thing that happens on the right, whether that's getting rid of Vance or what have you. I don't think we're done. I think we're in for yet another unprecedented moment. So, also Trump being shot at. Like, how did I forget? That's how little it's been in the fucking news. But like, it's been a lot of.
I mean, that was in another universe, basically. Yeah. At this point.
So, but I don't think we're done, and I don't know exactly what it is. I have my speculations, but I think there's more, and I think.
By the way, speaking of Trump being shot at, like Trump has done enough public appearances now without like a giant piece of fucking gauze covering his ear.
Yeah.
Like so I'm kind of with you now on that. It probably wasn't a bullet that clipped him. It was probably shrapnel that clipped him at this point because there's no way that it would have healed this quickly and not had like a really visible gnarly scar if it was actually the bullet that grazed him. And shout out to our Discord because there was I can't remember which member it was right now, but someone put a really comprehensive like, hey, like here's what actually happens like when a bullet grazes you. In the Discord that kind of talks about, I'm like, you know what? Based on the facts and evidence, I'm not so sure that he was winged by a bullet. Again, still shot at. Doesn't mean that wasn't a fucking serious thing. But like they're gonna talk about like I took a bullet for you guys. It's like, did you though? Like actually, I don't know if you did.
I mean, it'd be cool if you did, but you didn't. I'm just saying, like, sure. No, you're not Teddy Roosevelt as Elon Musk tried to push up that idea. I was like, knock it off. Like
you're not even Reagan. I mean, fuck, Reagan at least got shot as well, and also pulled off one of the best presidential one-liners in history as part of that.
I don't remember.
You've heard that story, I'm assuming, where when he was going into surgery, he told the doctor, like, I sure hope you're a Republican.
Oh, really? Okay, that's pretty good. Not bad. Like, yeah, it turns out I'm a Democrat. Good night. Oh my God. Surprise. Yeah, look, so I do think that there's another shoe to be dropped here. Look, you mentioned our Discord, so let me upfront here. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/fans to join our Discord. That's very good. And if you want the entire full episodes of these shows, make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up. It's $5 a month. Very easy. Costs less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks. So make sure you do all those things. It's great. It helps us out. Helps us produce more stuff. All right, so let's jump right into it. Donald Trump has a disastrous, to say the least, interview at the NABJ, which is the National Association of Black Journalists. Who could have seen this one coming?
So, I understand that Trump's general.
You know what? I actually do want to hear from a white person's perspective. Who is a
I
do. Go ahead.
I know, and it's so I understand his general MO in these situations. He loves to talk about his rallies all the time about how no one's done more for black people than Abraham Lincoln, or even maybe more than Abraham Lincoln did. The president that freed the slaves. But Trump somehow has done more for black people than him, and he's the guy that's going to help the black population in this country. So it's one thing to get on the stage at your rallies when you're surrounded by your vast majority white audience who believes the dumb shit that you say all the time.
Correct.
It's quite another thing to go in front of a room of mostly black journalists who aren't here for your bullshit.
No.
And make these same claims. And what do you expect is going to happen when you go out there and say shit like that?
I think, in all honesty, that he believes that black people like him. And look, here's the weird thing, right? Yeah, I know the numbers don't bear this out.
I'm just saying, literally, just look at the share of the black vote that he got in his two presidential elections. What was it, 6% and 8%? I think between the two,
which is 8% is pretty close to 10%, and 10% is pretty close to 20%. 20 is pretty close to 50%. 50 is pretty much 100%. So I mean, if you just do the math,
if you put another zero on the end of 10, you got 100. Yeah, right there. That's how close they are.
Look, it's neck and neck. Right? 6 on one hand, literally half a dozen times a number on the other. So it's curious, right? I think that he buys into his own bullshit, right? Any good con artist knows you'd never get high on your own supply. But I think that he believes that he's hey man, I did the sneakers, I got the mugshot. I think that he believes when he watches the news and they're like, this is appealing to black youth. And there's always a white guy saying it who's would roll his window up and lock his door if a black young kid walked by him. He's like, yeah, I know what those kids like. When he hears that rhetoric on Fox News, I think he just goes, yeah, they're buying it. This is awesome. So these people love me. And then he goes in front of black people who are not sycophants of his. And there's oh no, what happened? I shared this video with you of Omarosa, who used to work in the Trump White House, which is insane, right? But she only likes Donald Trump really because she was on Apprentice, and that's how she became a popular name back in the day. And she's a generally awful person. And she was on CNN or something like that. Again, why is she on there? What the fuck does she know about anything? But she was basically saying, and to her credit, she's 100% correct. She was listen, Donald Trump has lied about his own parents' heritage. Saying that he's part Swedish, which he's not, so he didn't have to admit that his dad was German because Nazis and all that other shit. and then he slowly over time has been yeah, my father is from Germany and all this other shit. And so she's if anybody should be called out about this idea of turning from one, nationality or race to another, it's literally him. And all the other black people on the panel are I mean, listen to Omarosa, she's kind of right. He thinks that he's got these black people like Omarosa and stuff like that. He thinks they represent all black people to him, and then he goes around other black people who don't fuck with him, and he's shocked by that. He really is.
Well, and so this whole interview, which was about 30 minutes long, was disastrous. But of course, the story that's been most permeated from it is the fact that he called into question Kamala Harris's race authenticity, basically alluding to the fact that he didn't realize that she was black until a couple of years ago because she only ever promoted her Indian heritage, according to Donald Trump.
Okay, so one, I do want to point out, you said that the interview lasted 30 minutes. It was supposed to last an hour. His people basically pulled him.
Yes.
Like they were like,
so he blamed it. He blamed it on a late start due to them having equipment issues. It was later discovered that his people were actually not able to come to an agreement with over fact checking.
Yeah, during live fact checking. That's right.
Yeah, but more on that later as well with another story that we have further on. But that's been the the lasting narrative from this, is that basically Trump is saying Kamala ain't black.
Right. Okay. So before I give my opinion on this, which will be one for the ages. This is what I'm interested to hear. You as a white dude, what are your thoughts on that? Like when you hear that, like what? Because I know how black people feel about this.
I think it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Here's why. If there's anyone who understands the basic concept of you can be more than one thing based on your ancestry, it's fucking white people. Literally ask any white person what their ancestry is, and they will tell you, oh, I'm half like for me, like Brad, like what's your ancestry? Oh, I'm a quarter Dutch, I'm a quarter Hungarian, I'm a quarter Irish, I'm a quarter English. Like we fucking know. And it's like, oh, well, how'd you get there? Well, my mom is this and this, and my dad is this and this, and their parents were this and their parents were this. If you can draw it back to the fucking motherland, then it's very easy to be like, oh, I'm this and I'm this because my parents were this and this, and therefore I am all these things.
That's a very
it's really and again, like literally ask a white person, any white person in your life.
I've never heard a white person say I'm English, unless they were like, my dad was born in England, right? Like everyone gives you're right. They give the this percentage or this third Irish or whatever. Yeah, that happens all the time.
100%. Yeah. So the fact that that Donald Trump would suggest, and he doesn't fucking believe this, like it's just him saying this dumb shit. And of course, Republicans are now being forced to carry water on it, which is really funny.
Especially the vice presidential nominee. That's fucking
in a lot of different fucking ways. Like it just like when we talk about like that Republicans are fucking weird, this is the kind of shit we're talking about. Like suggesting that someone is not black because you never saw them make a big fucking deal out of their black heritage makes you look fucking weird. Like it makes you look like a fucking weirdo for not acknowledging that. By his own rationale, by the way, Barack Obama's white because Barack Obama has one black parent and one white parent, so therefore was Barack Obama actually the first black president? I don't know, Jay. Let's ask Donald Trump. He might have a different answer.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you, and like your perspective on like what white people say about their heritage. That's perfect, right? Because that is something uniquely for white Americans. They do that. That's 100%. I hadn't thought about that. It's perfect.
Yeah. Because you ain't white.
No, I'm not. And thank God. No, I'm speaking of dicks. I mean, yeah, you guys. Look, your score, your history is not doing well, right? You guys are running up the numbers on some real bad fucking moves. But okay, so that, and I think that's a very interesting and very accurate point. So I'll give the black perspective here, which is, now granted, there are black people, I'm not going to pretend that they're not. There are black people who say, if you are not ironically, if you're not like a pure blood, whatever, they're like, okay, this is not a Harry Potter novel, relax. Then you're not black. And I always find it, it's bizarre.
Yeah, go ask Southerners in the 1870s if that test passes muster. So.
Right. Like it is weird. I saw someone write, the one drop rule is the one thing racist and black people actually agree on. It's like, I mean, yeah, it's true. So, but okay, what I find curious about it is when you talk to people and you say, okay, if Kamala Harris is not black, what is she? The normal response from people who think that she's not, what they will say is she's not black, she's biracial. And I was driving the other day and I was just listening to my music. I was by myself. And these are when I have these like weirdo thought processes, right? And then I feel like I'm screaming in my car alone. When you say that, you say, oh, they're mixed, right? Okay. So their race is biracial, according to you. Like if they fill out a form, they write down biracial. What does the word biracial mean? like you have to define what it means. It does, in fact, mean you are made up of those races, 2 of them, okay? Like, you cannot say the word without the context of what the word means and pretend it doesn't have context. Yes, she is in fact biracial. She is made up of 2 races. Like, that is her racial makeup is of 2 races, right? So, that being said, just because you are made up of 2 races doesn't eliminate one. That doesn't make any sense because the word you're using implies 2 things, not a third thing. Like that's not, it is made up of 2 things, right? So fundamentally, stop using that word if that's not what you mean because it's dumb, right? Your argument is very dumb. But outside of that, is Kamala Harris a sleeper cell to Republicans? Like, before Donald Trump went on that stage and got his ass embarrassed by those black women, and make no mistake, he got fucking embarrassed. That's why he was so aggressive towards them. It's because he got embarrassed. He doesn't like being questioned, especially by women, especially by black people, and especially by someone who's a double minority. Get the fuck out of here. Like, he's like, you were hitting on all cylinders of the things I hate, right? When he responded and said that, all these Republicans are like, you're right. What is she? Dude, you didn't know last week that Kamala Harris was black? Knock it the fuck off. And the reason he is saying this, it's not because he doesn't know, right? To your point, right? He obviously knows that she's biracial. Let's not pretend biracial people don't exist. He's also not pretending that he's pretending that she's not black. That's bullshit. What he's trying to do, and it is the same thing that Republicans did with Obama. It is better to try to scratch at the surface of that conversation and rip up a wound that you hope black people will start fighting with biracial people over, and black people will start fighting with each other over, and the Democratic Party will start to fracture over it, right? What you're hoping is if you do that, you pull away what is a thing I talked about when she first got endorsed and everybody got excited. You got to try to cut down the moment. Because when all the noise goes away, what you hear is, this is the first black woman president. It's like, oh shit, is it happening? Is it happening? But if you can start to scratch at the surface of like, this isn't important. She's biracial. She's not black. I didn't even know she's Indian. Black people, you know, like Indians, right? Like you're just trying to scratch at the surface of trying to rip open a wound and try to make black people fight up against each other and thus cause disarray inside the Democratic Party. That's the move, right? That's why he's doing it. But it's not going to work.
I'm going to say, I feel like you're giving him way more credit than he deserves. I really think that he just thought he could convince a group of black journalists, like, let me hit you with this epiphany that you never knew before.
But that's what I'm saying. That plays to that. I think that he is hoping that he can throw a rift between black people and her, right? That is what he's gunning for, right? Like, there was no, if you remember, and this is one thing he's very good at, right? Is sort of seeding the ground with bullshit and then being like, I'm out of here, right? Like he's very, very good at that because he did that where people really, they couldn't kind of get a beat on Obama, like a lot. They were just like, when he was like coming up and he became president, they couldn't quite get a beat. It was like, oh, he's Kenyan. And people are like, he was born here. Like, what are we even having a conversation about, right? Like none of this shit stuck. And then he just started seeding, he's not from here. He's not from long form birth certificate. And he just kept saying, and he seeded the ground, and then it became a whole thing, right? Eventually, Obama was like, cool, let me just judo this shit and then make you look like a fool. It didn't work.
Well, what's funny is you said he's trying to make the rift on the left. What's hilarious is that instead, he's basically made the right, like, turn into all these, you know, crazy gymnastics. So like what was it? Like a lot of right wingers have been running with like, well, you know, she's Jamaican, so that doesn't make her, you know, like Jamaican black people aren't the same as, you know, black people in America. And it's just like, how do you think the black people got to Jamaica? Like, do you think that they just kind of like grew out of the ground and were just like, hey man, like this shit, like that's not at all what happened.
Stellar accent, by the way.
Thank you. like literally go read any book on the Atlantic slave trade. There's a reason it wasn't called the North American slave trade, because it went to a lot of other areas besides just the fucking United States.
Where do you think Black Brazilians came from? Do you think, like, again, they popped out of the ground? Or as Kamala Harris would say, you think they fell out of a coconut tree? I don't think so, right? Like, but this idea of them learning, I mean, look, this week you will learn Republicans learn about history. Republicans learn about science, biology this week. You know? Bigotry is an amazing thing. So I think that he is aiming at trying to open up that wound, right? Like that is the goal, right? Like, hey, black people, do you know she's not black? No, hey, you can't support her like you supported other black people because she's not black. Except here's the problem with that, and this is why it didn't work with Obama either. They've never run from being black. They're not pretending to be black. They've always been black, and they are, in fact, biracial. Barack Obama used to be called Barry when he was young. He went to college. He had what black people often call his come to blackness moment, right? We all go through it, right? We all try to live in the world with none of your white people bullshit. We try to ignore it. And then eventually we got to deal with it, right? Some people hit it in high school. Some people hit it in college. For the most part, you will hit that moment where you're like, yo, what the fuck is going on? And you have that revelation of like, I'm not just a black person in America, like, and I just happen, or I'm an American who happens to be black. I am a black man. I am a black woman in America. That is a very specific moment in black people's lives. It just is. Like when you all of a sudden see a black person, you're like, oh, like you're really into like, all of a sudden they're like reading all these books about like back to Africa and like African history or a lot of civil rights reading and stuff like that. You're like, damn, like where did that come from? That's their moment, right? Like they're in that moment.
White people have the same epiphany. Yeah. I don't think you're aware of it because you're not white, but like there comes a point where all of a sudden, like you're watching the opening of whiteness is you're watching TV one night, and then all of a sudden you just stop on HGTV and you're fucking transfixed. Like you're watching fucking House Hunters, you're watching fucking Property Brothers, and you're like, holy shit,
this is my culture.
I'm white. Like this is it.
This is it for me. That, by the way, that exact same thing happens when you get married. You have to watch HGTV. It's the same thing. Look, we all get there. We just all get there in different avenues. Oh shit, Property Brothers is on. I don't like that one guy. The one on the left. I don't like it. So like, black people go through that, and Kamala Harris went to an HBCU, a historical black college, dude. Like she went to Howard. Pretty fucking black. Like, are there white people who go to HBCUs? Yes. But she was not one of them. She was black. She went to Howard. Then she went to the University of California, one of the schools in the University of California system, and she was the head of the Black Lawyers Society there, right? Like, it'd be pretty hard as an Indian woman to become the head of the Black Lawyers Society at that college in law school. It's the same thing with Barack Obama. When everyone said, "Oh, he was dumb. We want to see his college transcripts." Bro was head of the like Harvard Law Review. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't get there by being an idiot. Like it's like, oh, well, maybe it was a DEI thing. They literally just accept the writings and don't know who wrote them, and then they go, "This was the one. This was the best writing. This person is the winner." It's like, oh shit, it was Barack Obama. Like that's how that works, right? Like, by the way, if you don't believe me, you can quite literally Google the year that, you can Google the year he became head of the Law Review. Like, and it's like, young man Barack Obama, becomes head of Law Review. There are articles about it. Like, they didn't know who the fuck he was. They didn't have a time machine, right? So this idea of getting back to this idea of trying to create a rift inside the Democratic Party, and more importantly, a rift between her and black Americans, it ain't gonna work, bro. Like it's not gonna work.
It's interesting because it's almost like he's flailing in some respects because like he's used to running against, and Biden's not really a good comparison here. Like Hillary Clinton is the much better comparison for obvious reasons. And with Clinton, like he had a bunch of shit baked in that he could hammer on to cause like rifts. Like, what about her emails, 30,000 emails, Benghazi, like all this shit. Like he had a lot of stuff that he could draw on. Kamala Harris doesn't necessarily have that, and he can't. And the stuff that you might traditionally go after somebody on, like him going after her record as a prosecutor, is not going to really work well for him, considering that he is a 28-time felon or 32-time felon, however many times he was convicted in that trial.
34.
So he can't use that form of attack. So it's like he's just trying to throw shit at the wall right now and see like what's the thing that kind of gloms on. The thing that where he aired is this was like the worst audience to roll out this.
No, you do this at a rally, dude. You don't do
right.
Yeah, no, you're in enemy territory. What are you doing? The crowd was literally laughing at him.
Right, which he hates, by the way, by his own admission.
Bro, like I would hate that if I went to a Trump rally or a Trump event or Fox News or something, and I'm like trying to make a point, hopefully better than what he said, and they're just like, I'd be like, like all of you are gonna get it. So like, yeah, but for the first time in a long time, if ever, honestly, we've never seen this guy on the defense. He doesn't know how to play. He doesn't know how to play on this side. He's used to being in the lead and playing offense only. And he's trying desperately, but he can't get traction on her. And look, and I'll talk about this more in depth later. There are two reasons he can't get traction. He cannot get traction because like he's too busy playing defense from all sides, right? Like you've got Republicans who are mad at you, like they don't like your VP pick. There are other people who are just like dissatisfied with you. They're tired of losing, blah blah blah, all this shit. You've got that aspect, and then the other one is you're fighting a potential historic figure, and he's never had to do that. I mean, you could say Hillary.
Clinton would have been the first, yeah.
But, yes, potential. I mean, obviously, yeah, if she had won, she would have been. But again, to your earlier point, she had so much baggage that he could glom onto. He came in at already kind of on the offense, right? Like when they finally became the two at like when it was obvious that they were going to be the two facing off, he was well into the offense because
put it to you this way, he never had to attack her for being a woman. He did, obviously, but like that didn't need to be what he led with.
But he didn't have to. He didn't have to. Yeah. Now he has to find something in this new person that he's never thought about. And frankly, her being not necessarily new to the national stage, but way newer than someone like Hillary Clinton, he can't find anything. He's just like, what the fuck? What is going to work? She's not black. And people are like, dude, she is. Indian. Like, we don't have a problem with Indians. Old? Fuck, that's not going to work. Like, he doesn't have a thing to grab onto. And what I'm assuming is going to happen is he's eventually going to walk himself into a fucking buzzsaw because he's going to say something that he cannot pull back because he's getting desperate. He's
already getting there. He's already getting there. At a rally, he went back to his old favorite insult for black women specifically.
Nasty.
To call it low IQ. But that's always his favorite. He called her low IQ. Which say that to her face. I can't fucking wait to see like what that fucking comeback looks like.
Bro, she's a professional lawyer. Of how many degrees you got? Not a lot. Don't do that. Also, you read so good. I would just pipe the fuck down if I were you. Yeah. Like, knock it off. But yeah, I think he's in a world of trouble here.
Couple other and just because I want to make sure that the other stuff that happened at this event gets addressed besides just the race baiting thing. I mean, literally from the first question, the reporter from ABC News, Rachel Scott, basically like when all this like cited a lot of these examples about how shitty he's been towards black people over like since we've seen him in the public spotlight. And literally the first question was, why should black voters trust you? And instead of answering the question, his response was that it was a nasty question and it was rude and you can't you didn't even say hello, how are you? And you must be with ABC because they're fucking terrible. and all this other shit. Like didn't bother really fucking answering the question at all, which was really funny. The other big moment that was
on purpose.
Really hilarious. Yeah,
because he didn't have an answer.
The other big moment that was very funny is basically they talked about the fact that Republicans had called Kamala Harris like a DEI hire, and what do you think about DEI? And his response to that was, well, we'll define DEI. And the reporter defined it. Well, the reporter defined it because it's literally an acronym. And he's like, "That's your definition?" And she's like, "That's what it means." Like that's literally.
Oh, but he didn't know. He didn't know what it meant.
Right? Of course, he doesn't know.
Look. She shouldn't have given it to him. She shouldn't have given it to him. I was talking to Terrence about this. She shouldn't have given it to him. She should have been like, "Yeah, it's an acronym," and I would say, "Mr. Former President, I would like to know what you believe it is." Like, throw it back on him. He asked you because he didn't fucking know it. Embarrass him. Now, granted, she did. Like, she did. She absolutely did. But he didn't know it. He didn't know it.
And then she, like, he talked about black jobs, which has been, one of the fucking messages that he's been rolling. And she, of course, cut in and asked him, what is a black job? Like, finally, like, someone actually asking the question. And he says, well, a black job is any job. Why are you specifying the black jobs then?
Right. Why don't you just say
if it's literally any job, like if you're worried about, like if you're trying to make people worried about illegal immigration and all the lazy immigrants are taking all the jobs, that old Schrodinger's chestnut that we have there, like, then why are you bothering to classify the jobs as black?
Low IQ jobs. Am I allowed to say that? I'm sorry. Why are they throwing tomatoes at me? Yeah, no, I mean, everybody knows that what you mean is a low IQ job. That's what you mean. That's just manual labor, because let's get real, right? Welcome to history. The reason that all of these immigrants are doing the very specific jobs that they do is because slavery doesn't exist in the United States anymore, except for in the prison system. So, her calling him out and being like, what's a black job? I appreciated that. That was good. I wish he could have kind of held him a little bit on that. I mean, I granted he was like talking, so, he's going to fucking, divert his attention elsewhere because it's inconvenient. But yeah, it's pretty disastrous interview. Pretty bad. And look, rolling that idea out that you're calling out the vice president on her race. All right, bro. Like, all I'm saying is, feels like a bit of a mistake, but please proceed. Like, okay, you got it. So there you go. Real dumb. All right, let's talk about, let's get weird, Brad.
Lord knows the fucking Republicans are.
Trump insists that he and his weird VP pick, JD Vance, are, quote, not weird. Shout out to the Rolling Stones for being a bit of a dick with that headline. Yeah, they're weird. They're super fucking weird. And this, like you wrote in the docket, it's working.
Oh, yeah.
Who would have thought that such a simple turn of a phrase would work so fucking well? These guys are weird. And it's true, because it's hard to run away from when you look at his policies and you look at his surrogates and you're like, huh? What the fuck are you guys talking about? And it's like,
what is it? What is this stuff that you believe? Like, and that's why it is so effective, because again, you're not like this. People have compared this to I should say contrasted this to like the deplorables comment that Hillary made during 2016, right? And this is a lot different and a lot better than that, because again, like, you're not saying that people that vote for him are weird. I mean, they are, but like, you're not casting the die on them. You're saying that, like, hey, these guys are weird. The policies that they subscribe to and the ideas that they have are just, they're weird. Like it's a weird thing to be like, hey, parents should get extra votes when they have kids. It's a weird thing to say that, like, oh, like, the country's run by too many childless women and we need to get those people out of positions of power. Like, it's fucking weird to talk about how the obviously biracial vice president who's running for president right now isn't actually black when she like that's fucking weird.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's weird that a white guy, that an old white man is the arbiter of who is whatever race. Like, that's weird, right? Like, let me tell you, which is interesting, by the way, just not to go too far back into that. Do you remember that video of Trump speaking at like the gambling board back in like the early 90s where you've never seen that clip? Oh, fuck
I don't
me.
think I have.
Okay, I'm going to have to see if I can find it. But he's talking to like it's like a gambling board that hands out like gambling licenses to open casinos. And the guy who's running it is talking to Trump, and Trump, like, by the way, this is how you can tell Trump has lost a lot of speed on his fastball too, by the way. Mm-hmm. Like listening to him talk then, listening to him talk now, you're like, oh, like he's still an asshole or whatever, and probably not that bright, but he was just sharper, right? Like just the way in which he talks, right? That's probably 30 years ago. And the guy and Trump is like, well, you give out a lot of casino licenses to Indians. They don't look like Indians to me. And the guy says, I hope you never are in charge of who gets to decide who is what race. Like, I hope you never gain any power in this country, right? It's like it's like an awesome dunk, but also like really sad. It's like, fuck, I wish that guy was actually right and it didn't happen. But it turns out he was completely right about who he was. Yeah, I'll have to see if I can pull the footage. Yeah, okay, I have it.
Well, and it's funny because like JD Vance is so weird specifically that like not only is Trump like keeping him at arm's length kind of right now because like they asked like, you know, are you confident in JD Vance, and he basically says like JD Vance is a great guy, like I like him a lot, but not actually talk about is he ready to go. Fuck, JD Vance is even self-cucking himself in this regard because they're trying to, because like people are talking to him about like, hey, like who do you think the Democrats are going to pick for vice president? And he's even coming out here being like, you know, I don't think who the vice president is really matters all that. Mind you, this is the guy who's currently the vice presidential nominee in the Republican Party being like, yeah, me, like, I don't fucking matter at all.
That was a super weird moment, dude. Like, yeah, I don't think they matter at all. Okay. Also, then why are you trying to slam the border shit on Kamala Harris? If it doesn't matter at all that she's there, well, why is that her fault now? Well, it matters conveniently in this moment because I need it to matter.
Oh, and his point is that voters are going to vote for who's on the top of the ticket, and I broadly agree with him in that respect. Like, I don't think that there's many people who are going to be like, man, I really don't know about that Kamala Harris, but man, if she puts Tim Walz on that ticket, like that, it's going to tip me over the edge. Like, I'm sure there are a handful of people, probably specifically in Minnesota, that are like that, but like broadly. You know, that's not something that is going to matter.
It's not moving the fucking needle, right?
In most cases, I think the exception to that rule very specifically. Actually, there are two recent exceptions to that rule. I think Mike Pence is an exception to that rule, and I think that Joe Biden also was an exception to that rule to some extent.
Yeah, and those are two very unprecedented races, right? Like Trump is a fucking crazy wild card, and you need somebody to kind of be bolted to him that seems like a normie Republican, and Biden needed to be there so that white people were cool with a black person existing. I mean, let's be honest, like that's. Oh, I mean, no, you're right. You're 100% right. Is Joe Biden going to be there? Oh, well, thank God. Okay, all right, guys.
For the very same reason that the three contenders right now for the vice president are all white men as well.
So. Oh, of course. Like, wait, you're gonna let a black person choose another black person? That's too many black people. Come on, guys, that's scary. It's really scary to them. So yeah, it is fucking interesting, man. It is really, really interesting. All right, so let me play a little bit of. It's about maybe about a minute of. Hopefully, I'm nailing where it is in this video where he's having this conversation. So I'm going to play this conversation. This is like a gambling board, like a casino type of thing. So here you go.
Mm-hmm. You go up to Connecticut and you look. Now, they don't look like Indians to me, sir.
Thank God that's not the test of whether or not people have rights in this country or not, whether or not they pass your look test.
Depends whether or not you're approving it, sir.
No, it's not a question whether I'm approving it. Not a question whether I'm approving it. Mr. Trump, you know in the history of this country where we've heard this discussion before, they don't look Jewish to me.
Oh, really?
They don't look Indian to me. They don't look Italian to me.
Mm-hmm.
And And that was a test for whether people could go into business or not go into business, whether they could get a bank loan. You're too black. You're not black enough.
I want to find out. Well, then why you're approving for Indian? Why don't you approve it for everybody then, sir? If your case is non-discriminatory, why don't you approve for everybody? You're saying only Indians. Wait a minute, sir. You're saying only Indians can have the reservations. Only Indians can have the gaming. So why aren't you approving it for everybody? Why are you being discriminatory? Why is it that the Indians don't pay tax, but everybody else does? I do. Why is it that I pay tax? Why is it that senior citizens get tremendous benefit from the taxes that a certain industry does, but the Indians aren't contributing to that? Why aren't the Indians, excuse me, sir, why aren't the Indians that are making all the money in Connecticut, which is the most successful of the Indian reservations, why aren't they spreading the wealth with the other Indians, sir? Why don't you do something for the other Indians that are living in total poverty? Because you know why? Because their reservation
Mr. Trump,
is
if you'll
too far
give the
away.
chairman a chance to answer your questions, I'm sure he will.
I'm sure he will, absolutely.
Yeah. So
I said a very disturbing realization. Young Donald Trump looks a lot like current Tucker Carlson.
well, that's sorry for your future, Tucker. Jesus Christ. Woof. So here's the thing about that clip that I hadn't thought about until I saw it again. You should watch the whole 5 minutes. You can find it on YouTube. He does the same thing. He does the same race dividing thing. See that? He's pitting Indians who work at or who own casinos against Indians who don't have as much wealth. Well, why don't you spread it around? Why aren't they helping those people? I pay all these taxes. I'm helping people. Why aren't they helping? And that's what he does. He has always had this idea, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago. He does not know how to build anything up without building an opposition, right? Like that is how he has to rise. He has to rise by building opposition, building strife, and then he benefits on top of that. Have them rip each other apart, and then I'll sneak up another level. Oh, the next people, have them rip each other apart, and I'll sneak up another level. That's what he does. And he's been doing it
too because
it's fascinating.
The smart, like the people, I don't want to say smart because a lot of them are fucking idiots, but like the clever Republicans in that party, like the Project 2025 folks, are smart enough to know that he only gives a shit about himself, but they will very easily ride his coattails to kind of like use him as a Trojan horse, basically,
100%
to get where they want to get to in order to have their way, because he doesn't give a shit. He just wants to win. He just wants the notoriety, the celebrity, doesn't want to go to prison, wants to earn the wealth from it, that sort of thing. But as people have said before, and this is 100% true, Donald Trump doesn't actually have any firm ideological opinions as far as, what should be. There's actually an article going around today that at his rally last night, he talked about how now he has to be for electric cars because
yes, I just saw that.
So he has to be okay with electric cars because he got that endorsement from Elon Musk. He's purely transactional. That's the only thing that he gives a shit about.
Now
here's going to be for me.
Now here's what's going to be funny. Watch all of these Republicans. I don't know, man. EVs seem like the future. Like they will just fucking pivot with no sense of irony whatsoever. I mean, we hate electric cars, but I mean Teslas are really awesome. You should buy one. Okay, cool, bro. Like. You gonna stick to anything? No? All right, great. More on that later. We're just gonna keep those goalposts moving. Don't bother building them without massive wheels and an engine on the back of them because these things ain't settling down nowhere. Fuck out of here. All right. Next up, Kamala Harris campaign is actively building something called Republicans for Harris. This is some super good shit. I love it. Her campaign on Sunday flaunted over 24 presidential endorsements from Republican Party members, including some who have served in President Donald Trump's or former President Donald Trump's administration. That includes Stephanie Grisham, the former White House press secretary under Trump, national security official.
Also Melania's primary aide before she had that.
Oh, was she fake Melania? Was she one of the fake Melanias? I bet she was.
No, she was not one of the fake Melanias. I'm pretty sure that was like a Secret Service station.
Come on, you got to get a fake Melania in there too. Like she comes out dressed as Melania. I would like to endorse. Like, oh shit, it's Melania, and then she rips it off. It's like, it's not really Melania. Like,
you like how like Melania showed up at the RNC and then immediately vanished off the face of the earth.
Fuck again. You guys! I hate being here and I hate all of you. Like, all right, we get it. Like, I don't care. Look, you going down with the ship. It's fine. Go fuck your Secret Service guy or whatever that you've been banging for the last 8 years. It's fine. Go have fun. So Stephanie Grisham, who was a former White House secretary, press secretary under Trump, National Security official Olivia Troy, who worked as Mike Pence's national security advisor, Chuck Hagel, Ray LaHood, who were Republican cabinet members under Barack Obama, amongst many. And by the way, they are trying to push. Now, this is never going to happen. I'm not this lucky. We are not this lucky. But this group is pushing to get Mike Pence to join them. To that, I say, Mike, make history yet again and do it. What do you have to lose? Ask Mother if it's okay. Mother, may I? And then fucking go do it. I say do it.
Truthfully, if he were to do it and Harris were to win,
disaster.
That would be the Mike Pence legacy. Like he would get the benefit of like, hey, you saved democracy.
Yeah, you
from
did.
Collapsing under its own weight, and then you helped kick Donald Trump to the curb. Finally, you're a hero, Mike Pence.
Yeah, here's the thing. I don't like Mike Pence, but you'd have to give him some credit. You'd be like it's the opposite of that meme. Like, you don't actually have to give them credit. You'd have to give him a bit of credit and be like, I mean, fuck, this guy's 2 for 2. Jesus Christ. Like, it would be a hell of a moment for the former vice president to not only, look, it's a hell of a moment, and people don't talk about it a lot, that he didn't endorse the guy he used to work under immediately anyway. But for him to endorse.
Still has.
No, I know. And he doesn't want on. And he won't.
Yeah, said he won't.
Look, shout out to him. He's got bigger balls than Nikki Haley does. Right? Nikki Haley's like, can I get some power? And I think the big difference here is that he realizes that his political career is over. It's dead. It's done. Right?
Oh, yeah. At least it's a Republican.
Yeah, it's tough. But this is a moment where you can say, hey, man, some steel in the spine still left. And just be like, look, I'm telling you, you can hold that as a secret. You have that dude come out at a campaign rally and be like, look, there are tons of things we do not agree with or agree on. But one thing we do agree on is that keeping democracy going is paramount to this country's future. That's why I'm supporting Kamala Harris. Dude, devastating. It would blow the fucking doors off politically. Mm-hmm. People are, I don't give a shit about Mike Pence. But you would. And I'll tell you why you would, because the news would go ballistic over that shit. They'd be like,
Trump would melt. I mean, Trump would melt down.
He would melt the entire fuck down, dude. Holy shit. Can you imagine an ad with Kamala Harris standing next to Mike Pence saying that shit? Like, we don't have to agree on shit, but we believe in democracy?
Dude, go find fucking Greg Pence in the house, march him in front of camera, like, disown your brother. Disown him now. Like, you son of a bitch.
You will no longer use the last name Pence. Your name is Trump now. He's like, my name is Trump. It's like the hostage thing. He's like holding a newspaper of the day and like looking off camera, and he's like, no, I am saying this in my own volition.
And here's what's funny. Like there is certainly an avenue that Mike Pence could do this. Like he doesn't have to be like vote blue all the way down.
No,
like,
he doesn't.
Like, you don't have to do that. Like you can go out there and be like, look, I think you should vote for Republicans all the way down the ballot, except for at the very top, because Donald Trump is dangerous and he should not be the president again. Like that would be enough. And again, like it would hopefully convince enough Republicans that are, maybe still, it would give them permission basically to go out and
do the same.
Yeah.
Look, I don't think it's going to happen, but God damn, can you imagine? Trademark for TMP Studios. It would be amazing. It would be an amazing moment. But the fact that they think that they even have a scintilla of a chance to get him to do it says a lot. That says a lot to me, right? Like, I don't think he's going to do it. I think it is a super the low percentage chance of that happening is astronomical. But the fact that they think maybe Mike Pence hates this guy this much, maybe we could convince him. And I don't think anybody would have thought that 2 years ago. I don't think anybody would have thought that, because this group, Republicans for Harris, used to be called Republicans for Biden, right? But I don't think when Joe was running, I don't think anybody would have thought that Mike Pence could be convinced to do this. But they're seeing the moment. They're seeing the moment. It feels historic. And I think everybody, you're seeing black, white, Latin, gay, straight, whatever, and now even Republicans, all kind of wanting to jump on this train, man. And they want to be in that moment. And it would say a lot. It would say a fuck lot if Pence was like, you know what? Welcome to Infrastructure Week. I'm endorsing Kamala Harris. Like, yeah, oh my God. Like, it would just be, it would be nuts. That would be one of those like shoes to drop politically. It'd be a bombshell. It would be a fucking
that's the thing. Like if you can get his endorsement, like, I think you wait until
that's your October,
the beginning of October. Yeah. Like just roll that out right before early voting starts and kind of go to town. Now, nice tie-in to this story. Not only has like Mike Pence not and said he won't endorse Donald Trump, literally half of the people that Trump appointed to his cabinet while he was president have either come out and opposed him or just have not taken a stance, for or against him, essentially. And some surprising names, like we talked about Pence. It's kind of funny also to see like John Bolton out here vociferously on like right-wing news.
Yo, he cannot stand Trump. He can't stand that guy. He hates him.
But like I'm shocked that like Betsy DeVos hasn't come out and endorsed Donald Trump. Like, she was there the whole fucking time and was totally, down with the fucking program.
No, but he shit on her like there towards the end. He said some things about her. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't think he fucked with Betsy DeVos by the end. Like, so that may be the reason.
Like, Tom Price hasn't said anything. Like, good old insider trading. Tom Price hasn't come out and endorsed him at all. Fuck Elaine Chao. I guess I wouldn't expect Elaine Chao to fucking come out and endorse him, considering that McConnell just barely tepidly endorses him. But like Alex Azar hasn't come out and said anything. H.R. McMaster hasn't come out and said anything. I mean, there's some guys that you would expect. Like, I'm not thinking that like John Kelly or General Mattis or Rex Tillerson or any of those guys are going to fucking come out and carry water for this dude.
I kind of need Rex Tillerson to come out and like, he's still a fucking moron.
Yeah, he's still a fucking moron.
Yeah, it's wow. There's a Vought supporting Trump.
That's the dude. That's like rumor is if Trump wins, that's the dude that's going to be his chief of staff, and he is one of the Project 2025 guys.
Oh, great.
Russell Vaughn is.
Oh, great. A Vought guy near the All right. TV's getting a little too close to fucking reality here, guys. This is a real problem. But yeah, look, by the way, I don't think he fucks with Betsy DeVos because Betsy DeVos said he did cross the line in the sand.
That's right.
With January 6th.
With January 6th. That's right.
She said that they did acknowledge the 25th Amendment discussions. So no, he don't fuck with her like that. So it makes sense that she would not be cool with him. So yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? Like, they don't like this dude.
I mean, the point is, like, when Barack Obama ran for re-election in 2012, every single person that he'd appointed to his cabinet endorsed him to be president again, and also endorsed Hillary Clinton, and also endorsed Joe Biden. Like there wasn't any. Well, actually, sorry, I'm sure like there's a couple Republicans in his cabinet, so I'm sure those guys didn't fucking endorse the Democrat. But like every Democratic appointee was like, yeah, like let's fucking keep the party going. Absolutely. Yeah. It just goes to show you like what kind of fucking guy Trump is, that these people literally worked for him, were handpicked by him, and we're just like, yeah, we're not trying to fuck.
Nope. And look, the three people of this list who actually spoke out against him, was it Bolton,
Mark Esper, the former Secretary of Defense, and then of course
Mike Pence. Right? Yeah. I give them a lot of credit, right? Because that's not easy to do, especially in this climate, especially in the Republican Party, right? Like, talking shit on Trump is political suicide for right-wingers. That being said, all of these people who haven't said anything, bro, silence This is these people not saying shit matters a lot. These people are like, I'm still trying to have a future, but fuck that guy. Like that's all that's saying. So to me, this is one of the best arguments against voting for Trump. When people say, "Oh, you're just voting because you hate him," like, yeah, I do hate him, but here is a sort of a policy branded reason. Half of his team doesn't fuck with him. If you had a friend or you met someone and you knew like they had like 10 friends, and then you saw those same people 6 months later or a year later, and 5 of them were like, "Nah, I don't fuck with Brad like that." Dude, my first thought is, what the fuck is Brad's problem? Like, that's the first thing you think. You're not going to think, oh, well, clearly all 5 of those people, are all bad, right? Like, they all have the same bad issues. No, the common denominator is Brad. Brad is a terrible person. I'm going to clip this.
I don't like this like quasi slander going on now, that you're using in this very hypothetical, very made up scenario.
No one likes Brad. Half the people who've ever met Brad can't stand him. No, but in all seriousness, normal logic would presume that you would say, who is the common denominator? In this case, it's Trump, right? And so it's weird that Republicans will go, well, all those people are part of the deep state. All of them? Weird. What?
So why did Trump hire them? If his whole fucking goal was to drain the swamp and to eradicate the deep state control, why did he hire all these?
Also, he hires the best people, by the way.
He hires the best people.
Right. So, again, your best argument against Trump is his own team. They don't fuck, half his team doesn't fuck with him. So, yeah, the fact that these people aren't running now to be like 4 more years of Trump, they're just like, like, what are your thoughts on that, bro? I stay busy. Is there an election going on? That's crazy.
Actually, you know what? Here's a great fucking example that nobody fucking talks about, and I'm sure I'll be proven wrong on this in a matter of weeks when he eventually convinces her to do it. Ivanka's not really fucking doing anything to advance this cause at all. You see Don Jr.
not getting into it. She says she's not getting into politics and stuff.
Yeah, she's not getting into it because she values having a reputation and success.
Yep.
For herself, and knows that attaching her to him is, even though it's not in the realm of politics, it's career suicide. Like, it's bad enough she's got that fucking name to attached to her, but yeah, she's not going to come out and fucking and do shit for him because she wants to make cheap handbags or whatever the fuck she's trying to make happen.
Look, here's a wild prediction. When Trump dies, she changes her name to Kushner. Dude, try to sell these bags, dog. Like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Look, she's sitting on that $2.5 billion of Saudi money. She can be all right.
Oh yeah.
She don't need him. But yes, they don't want to be involved because they got bounced out of. They could no longer be socialites in New York. People were like, you know what? Go fuck yourself. And they didn't like that shit because they want to be a part of the mix, man. They want to be in popular cool kid shit. And all the popular cool kids were like, bro, my aunt died from COVID. Like, what the fuck? And they were just like, yeah, that might have been our fault. Our bad. And they want back in. And by the way, people who let them back in, you're assholes. You shouldn't let them in. Like, fuck that. Like, no, you made your bed. Now go get fucked in it. Like, get out of here. Like, go lay on the couch. JD Vance is like sweating. Oh my God. A guy I follow on TikTok. He's very funny. They showed an interview with JD Vance coming in, being interviewed by, I don't know, some fucking right-wing douchebags. And they had a bunch of like love seat type or like big chairs. And they're like, oh, you can pick any chair. And then it just cuts to him and he's like in the shower sweating like, what chair should I pick? He's just like, it was pretty good. Shout out to him. That was great.
Every interview he goes to, just to desensitize himself, he's like, "Can you just give me a steel folding chair, please?"
I don't need to have a hard on in the middle of this CBS interview. This is weird. Again, very weird. Okay, let's talk Veepstakes, Brad.
So by the time we record next week, the Veepstakes will be over. Apparently, the word is that the vice presidential pick is supposed to speak to the media on Tuesday. this week, which means that they'll have it decided by Monday. It does seem like that we are down to the final three. Looks like the finalists are going to be Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, Mark Kelly, senator from Arizona, and Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania. Oddly enough, the progressives in the party seem to be really backing Tim Walz to the hilt. Same with like unions and stuff like that. And Josh Shapiro is getting a lot of bad PR kind of spreading out there about him right now as well. So he doesn't seem like he'd be the popular pick amongst the electorate in a lot of
I think people, no one's talking about my point about the Gaza thing, and I'm okay with that. That's fine. Don't bring it up. It's okay. We don't need to relitigate that shit. But him not handling some sort of sexual harassment thing. Look, this is a big race. This is obviously a big race. And you're going up against a guy who has quite literally been found guilty of sexual assault. You cannot afford to be just good. You cannot afford to be anything less than perfect on this. If Shapiro has that shit in his background of not handling these situations, arguably perfectly, step aside. Like, you got to go. I'm sorry. You got to go. Look, Walz was not on my radar until maybe really about a week and a half, about a week ago, I guess. And when I started hearing rumblings about this guy, I'm like, I don't really know this guy at all. And then I saw a couple of clips of him. Look, I wouldn't be mad about it. He's got that fucking got that folksy regular dude way of talking. He's from Minnesota, so he's got that Minnesota nice shit, which is just basically a really nice way to talk while knifing you in the back or in the chest, really, if we're being honest. And he's kind of the one who coined the like these guys are weird thing. Like that
weird
was
thing, yeah.
Right, and that
he's really I've listened to a couple interviews with him because he's making the rounds on podcasts right now. And
someone said his Ezra Klein interview was really good.
Yeah, he's really good. He's a good messenger. And he can kind of be everything you need to be. Like he can talk in a way that like middle Americans can really glom onto. He can be an asshole if you need someone to be an attack dog. The only thing that is kind of a negative is that he looks really fucking old, which is funny because he's the same age as Kamala Harris, but because he's fucking white and bald, like he just looks like he's an older dude, but he's 60, just like she is. But like when you hear him talk and when you hear him kind of the way he speaks and the way he talks and the way he frames a lot of issues, he does seem like a really good choice. Again, especially if you're trying to appeal to, quote unquote blue collar, voters and things of that nature, where you're trying to get those votes in around the edges in those purple states that are going to decide the election.
Yeah. Look, this title should tell you everything. The Ezra Klein Show's interview with Tim Walz. Is Tim Walz the Midwestern dad Democrats need? Yeah. Yeah. That fucking like, hey, buddy, you okay? How you doing? Like, flip the little steel chair around, some good youth pastor vibes. Like, look, sometimes you need that. And I think sort of Midwestern people need that kind of feel. If he can be what I want in a VP, which is smart, you're pro unions, you're for the working man type of shit. That's great. But what I want more than anything is I want an attack dog. And it seems like Walz has that in him. Absolutely.
He has that. And the thing is that even though he is the governor of a Midwestern state, a reliably blue Midwestern state, but still a Midwestern state nonetheless, he does not shy away from progressive stances on things.
No.
But he frames them, again, in a way that makes them sound more palatable to the people that the normal crowd were on the right. They're like, that's socialism. He's able to frame it in a way that like, no, actually, like this is what you need in order to make a capitalist society succeed correctly. Is you need to be able to do these things. We have to be able to provide childcare. We have to be able to give people the opportunity to work and have a good paying job and all. Like the talking about these programs in a way that just makes the medicine go down a little bit easier for people who instinctively might not want to sign on for that sort of thing.
Yeah. So look, out of these three, if we're talking Walz, Shapiro, or Kelly, I've not, as much as I love John Kelly, or I love Kelly's story, Mark Kelly's story. I really do, and I think he's a good choice. I think he's a very, very good choice. He, like we had talked a couple of weeks ago, he was my top choice, and he's still hanging out there in those, obviously in the top 3 for me personally. But I've not heard an attack dog style from him, and I've heard it from Walz. And look, if you're going to be the VP for the first black woman president, you're going to need to be a monster. Like, you're going to need to, because she's going to have to stand above it all. She has to, because if she gets down in the shit, it will destroy her campaign, because they will, she's an angry black woman, which is the fucking death knell for any black woman running for office, right? Especially running against Donald Trump, which would be just fucking ironic, obviously. But that hurt Hillary a lot, the angry woman thing, and dudes who just have a real problem with women in authority will just glom onto that, and they will not let it go. She has to stay fucking clean as fuck in this and just be like, Donald, these are our policies. American people, these are our policies. We don't agree with your policies. They kind of suck. You guys are a bit weird. Meanwhile, you got Walz down there ripping people's throats out like a fucking pit bull. And that's what I need. That's what I need. And if Kelly could show that, then okay. But so far, so good. Walz is showing that. And that is the only reason why I'm putting him slightly above Kelly. I just have not seen it from Kelly. I think Kelly's story is great, and I think he's a really good candidate. And I would never be pissed off if they picked him. But if Walz is the guy who can like really go get down in the dirt and fuck people up, then I'm cool with that. And
also that's the thing. Like I think we're going to be happy either way.
Yeah.
I think also the pick.
I literally I wouldn't be upset, but I would be a bit disappointed if she went with Shapiro, because I think you got to see that who you're going up against. And she's a smart woman, but you got to see that who you're going up against. If you give the space to start to build a narrative around the idea of sexual assault or whatever, they're going to use that to attack him and put a blanket over what Trump did. Don't fall for that shit. I get it. People like Shapiro, but it's a dangerous move to try to hope that you can ignore that, or somehow Trump's is worse so people will pay attention. They won't. The right will focus. They will hyper focus on it as a way to go, oh, you say this, but what about your guy? What about your guy? What about your guy? What about your guy? And then it starts to slowly fade what he did to the back end. Do not fall for that.
And I think if you're looking between Walz and Kelly, I think that who they choose will kind of be a signal on some of the things that the campaign views as weaknesses. Like, I think if you pick Kelly, then you're acknowledging that like the border is going to be a problem for you in the campaign, and so you're picking someone that's going to be able to speak more confidently to that and more authentically to that, and Kelly would certainly be that guy. And I think that if you pick Walz, I think you're acknowledging that like, hey, like this campaign, like we're worried about holding on to progressives throughout this election cycle. So we want to try to get someone in there that's going to speak to those things. Because again, Bernie has already come out and endorsed Walz like wholeheartedly for vice president. And like we mentioned earlier, a lot of the union stuff like that have said too, that they would prefer to see him at the top of the ticket. So, with her at the ticket.
Look, so, there's one person that you're forgetting who also endorsed Walz. Nancy Pelosi endorsed Walz as well.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That
means you can't pick him, right?
No, you have to pick someone else, right? No, but what that tells me is if you can get that's the Clinton Bernie faction, right? Quite literally Bernie, right? Like that is the uber progressives and your sort of midline Democrats. We've been fighting back and forth since 2016. You got the two representatives of those factions saying that this guy is the good VP choice. That's the good VP choice. Because you're getting the best of both worlds. Bernie's out there like, fuck yeah, this guy's going to fight for unions. The unions are saying it. And you got middle of the road Democrats who are like, they're going to fight for unions and they're going to fight for the shit you like. Yeah, this is the guy then. Like, to me, that is the biggest signal that you're going to make the right choice, is to simply go, these two factions who agree on a lot but disagree on plenty, both agree on this. That means it's a good choice.
Yeah. And again, it's useful, and the reason why we used to get a lot of governors that became presidents, it's useful to have a governor in these sorts of races as well, because you can point to specific thing. Like they have more of a record that they can point to. Like it's one thing for Mark Kelly to be like, oh, I voted for this and I voted for this, and that's great.
Right.
But when you're the governor, you could say, we did this, we did that, we did like, and you can point to specific things your administration got done. So.
Yeah. So as it stands right now, out of those three, I think Walz is a better choice. And, again, unions being cool with him, Bernie being cool with him, and Pelosi being cool with him. It feels too correct. Like it feels too correct of like, bro, what are we even having a conversation about? And this guy is the one who coined the weird shit. He's good on the stump. He's an attack dog. He doesn't have some sort of sexual harassment thing. Apparently he's not too fucking nice, which I like. Lead with strength. Okay. Like you're allowed to be a bit of a dick. So be a bit of a dick, be an attack dog for this black woman.
Well, and he would also, and a nice side benefit is he would make like JD Vance's whole fucking thing is to be like, oh, I'm from the Midwest. I'm a Midwest blue collar guy. He would make JD Vance look like a fucking phony, which he is.
He is, right? Like, that dude's been wearing a lot of eyeliner, by the way. Like, a lot. Hey, bro, are you one of the fucking lost members of KISS? What is going on? Why are you wearing so much eye makeup? But yeah, again, he's a regular dude. Like, he was a school teacher. Like,
he's a football coach. Yeah.
Yeah, like
he did all that shit.
He's giving off a lot of fucking stepdad energy. Like, right? Like him and Doug, the first dude are like, first dudes, we're in there, baby. Like, yeah, okay. Like, I like that. So, and again, he looks old, but he isn't old, right? That's it. Look, he's like, look, sorry, I don't use lotion. Like, okay, that's fine. So if Trump tries to come in, this guy's old, like, bitch, I'm damn near 20 years younger than you. What the fuck are you talking about? I look like dog shit, but I'm still young. So that's good. That's very, very good. So if she's going to go with any of those three, it probably should be Walz. Just for the endorsements alone, I think should tell you a lot about where he stands. All right. Why don't you take the next story? It is.
I'd love to. So Donald Trump is truly trying to like put into practice, like if you believe in something enough, you can manifest it into being. So Donald Trump really doesn't want to debate Kamala. Like that much is abundantly clear. And Kamala Harris has been pressing him. Be like, hey, we got a September 10th debate on ABC. It's already on the books. Well, it's coming. And Trump's like, oh, I'm not going to debate. And if Kamala Harris, had said, got something to say it to my face.
It's a good clip.
She's running scared and all that stuff. So instead of Donald Trump being like, all right, I'm going to debate, he's saying the debate, the ABC debate, that's terminated because that agreement was made when Biden was running, and now that Biden's not running, it's all bad. And he's also going to sue. He's filed suit against George Stephanopoulos because George Stephanopoulos said that comments that he made around the decision that Trump was found guilty of sexual abuse of E. Jean Carroll. He was, by the way, like there's nothing there. But because he's filing suit, Donald Trump says, well, George Stephanopoulos can't do it because it'd be a conflict of interest. And really, ABC can't do it because he works for ABC. And so even if somebody else was trying to do it, we couldn't do it. So I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. We can do a Fox debate, and we'll do the debate on Fox. But we're going to change some of the rules. We're going to have an audience. We don't want any fact checking to be going on during the debate. And I'll meet you on Fox, and we'll do the debate on Fox. That's what we're going to do. So all you have to do is say yes, and that's happening. And Kamala Harris is like, nah, we're still going to do the ABC debate, and if you don't show up, then I will be more than happy to take my 90 minutes of uninterrupted time answering questions about what I want to see as the director for the country without any pushback from you whatsoever.
Look, there has been many, many a time where Republicans have tried to skirt a debate and, let's change it and all this other stuff, right? And every single time, liberal folks say, cool, let them not show up. You show up, you fucking Democrat, and you take that goddamn airtime for free, uninterrupted. Mm-hmm. And Democrats always go, all right, we won't do the debate. We'll fucking do it on your terms. Let's figure it out. and they never do it. Until now. You're playing in a ball game you ain't used to, my man. Dude, again, like you made the point last week, she cut her teeth. She was 30 years old when Newt Gingrich came in. They're not going to buy your bullshit. They're not. Oh, you're not coming to debate? Well, fuck you, bro. Like, it's cool. No big deal. Cool, thanks. I haven't had an uninterrupted time to talk to the American people on primetime television, you giant buffoon. Okay, cool. I'll see you. You can show up if you want. I'll still debate you. But if you don't want to show up, then you don't want to show up. By the way, the Fox News idea that he has, it's a fucking rally. It's a rally. He wants an open air thing. By the way, in Pennsylvania, I'm like, okay, that seems like a bad idea. Bit weird. Yeah, I was shot right there. Did you know that? You want my ear? Get the gauze on. But he wants it to be this open air thing where he would then, like, from my understanding, like, he's having a rally like earlier that day or some shit. And then then they would just do the debate in the same space. So she's going to go on Fox News in a live situation with a bunch of alligators wearing Trump hats out in the crowd. Yeah, that seems right. That seems fair. Well, they're booing everything she says and everything else. But this, if you said this 5 years ago or 3 years ago, Democrats would agree to that debate. Oh, well, I think, we need to, I'll go into their place.
Or they would just cancel it entirely. They'd be like, all right, I guess we don't have to have a debate. And they would just go back to their corner. So
no, she's not playing that game. Never let these guys push you off your fucking game. Lead from strength. You don't want to do the debate because you're fucking scared. If you're scared, say you're scared. I'll be there in September. That's the way to play it. Look, you made this point. I've been talking about a lot of this. Like, you're going to see a difference in campaigning because she's Gen X, and you made the point, man. If you hate Gen X, wait till you see what Gen Z looks like. Jesus Christ, it's going to be horrible for Republicans if they're still around. Hey, we're going to try to say no, but what? No. Here's 9 memes I made about your mom. No, we're not doing that. Right? Like, you're in a world of trouble because you've never dealt with Democrats only on the offense. You've never dealt with it. And they're not putting up with your bullshit tricks that you always pull. Well, why don't you just come to my rally? All right, we'll go to the rally and do it, and I'll see what happens. No, fuck off. Like, damn it didn't work. Yeah, it didn't work, old man. You're still in 2016. This is not how this shit's going to go. So, yeah.
Well, and her campaign came out, and basically the response was like, yeah, he's running scared because he's afraid to debate us. So, of course, he doesn't want to do the ABC debate. Of course, he goes running to Fox News to be like, come on, let's go to my people who love me over here. Like, they'll be fair and unbiased. Like, and throw me a bunch of softballs and shit like that. And Fox is even trying to lobby to get it. They're like, oh, look, we'll cut off the microphones just like they did on CNN and this, that, or the other thing. But yeah, no, fuck that. Go to ABC. ABC is incredibly, I mean, they are as probably nonpartisan as you can get with the major like broadcast networks right now, I would say. Yeah. And let's fucking go. Yeah.
I think this is great. I like this move. I like the strength of it. Like, I'm not moving off of that. Go fuck yourself. Good. Never concede to these guys when it comes to them changing the rules mid-stroke.
Now, my only concern is that if Harris did stick to her guns and do this event with ABC, my fear is that he would do the same thing that he did in 2020 when he had COVID and Biden refused to be in the same room as him, basically, where they did like the counter event, where Biden was doing that town hall and then he was doing an interview on NBC with Savannah Guthrie. Now that turned out to be very bad for him because Savannah Guthrie tore his ass fucking up.
Yeah, she did
in that interview. If you recall correctly. Yeah. But that was that's what happened the last time that something like this happened. Basically,
I think if this debate does not happen, you don't get a debate between the two of them. I don't think you do.
Oh, probably not. Yeah, this is it.
Yeah, I think if you get
the only other way is if one of the two of them was really losing badly in the polls in late September, and they were just like, hey, let's fucking do one because they're trying to get some momentum. But then if you're the person ahead, you're like, no. Like, why the fuck would I give you that opportunity to claw back? Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. No, look, I think you push for the debate. And look, I'm sure I think they had one in like September and then like October or something like that. I think were the months they were doing them. I think you do whatever it happens in September. You're like, look, I'm still showing up. And then right after you do that and be like, listen, you just start the clock over. Remember, you had another one in October.
It's just September one. That's it. Remember they completely went around the presidential debate commission setting these the one up in June.
So so it was only two. No, yeah. I would immediately press him. I'd be like, look, one of the things that drives people crazy, and it drives Trump crazy too. Just start using what he says. Like, anytime, anywhere. Like, you said it, bro. Like, what happened? Just make a campaign ad of when he said that shit. I'd be like, yeah, I agree. I'm right here. You have all these things to say about me and our policies and about democracy and everything else. Say it to my face. Dude, just lay that shit out there. And people are like, damn, bro, she kind of calling you out. You're trying to be kind of a punk bitch. You just refuse to do it. Yeah, it'll eat at him. Now, will he do it? I don't know. But it'll make him look weak. Just like this makes him look weak. And that, look, if anything, I mean, making him look weird and his policies being terrible and everything else, weakness does more damage to Donald Trump than anything else. And it does damage internally to his own people. Because they go, bro, you got to debate. Like, why are you letting this woman talk shit on you? You got to debate. And they're like,
see, that's interesting. I don't think his people do want him to debate, honestly. Because it can only harm him against her, I feel.
No.
Because
you mean
not
like,
Joe Biden.
No. I'm not talking about his staff. I'm talking about his constituents.
Okay. I thought you meant like his campaign people.
Oh, no, hell, they're like, Joe Biden was hiding in 2020. No, they would like, can we hide Trump? Like, put him in the fucking Delaware basement. They absolutely don't want him out there. But no, I'm talking about his constituents. That idea of like, bro, like, we believe in you. Why you like? Because you can make a bullshit argument like, well, that was a different candidate, blah 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 blah. That's what I'm saying. Once the September date passes and whatever happens, she goes and does a Clint Eastwood and talks to an empty chair, whatever the fuck, right? However that goes, don't do that. Once that's over, the day after, I'm immediately coming out and being like, we can still debate. Like, just turn that clock right back on him. Like, oh, you thought this was over. You thought you could bullshit your way and then it was done and we're done. No, motherfucker. Turn that clock right back on. You have until November 4th or whatever, November 5th to debate me anytime, anywhere. Right? Or don't say anywhere because then you'll be like, Fox News tomorrow. Like, no. Like, let's set up a debate. Same rules that you had with Joe Biden that you had with the former president. Same rules. Let's fucking go. Look, you can even have it on Fox News, but with those same rules. Like, all right, same rules. Like,
by the way, that just needs, like, if the Presidential Debate Commission, if they care to be relevant in the future, needs to fucking adopt all that shit. Like, no audiences, cut the mics off, very strict timetables, all this other shit. Like, that's got to be the way forward. We like, debates should not be fucking high school pep rallies anymore.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, I would also pick independent people to moderate. I wouldn't pick anybody who is like, look, God love her. I don't want Rachel Maddow. I don't want Sean Hannity. I don't want any of those people. I want somebody.
I just want the dude from Colorado for every debate. Every single one. Doesn't matter.
Look, him and Jonathan Swan. And this woman from the National Association for Black Journalists. Just the three of them, like, answer the fucking questions. But it should be like somebody out of that organization that's like trained on asking questions. That's it. I don't need it to be anybody we recognize, right? Because the second you pick someone from MSNBC, someone from ABC, no, fuck that. They are supposed to be reporting the news, not be the news. Pick some fucking robot nerd, whoever works for that organization, to just go, these are your questions. Sir, you did not answer the question. You have 15 more seconds to answer the question. Sir, you did not answer the question. We're going to go to your opponent. That's it. That's the only thing. Mm-hmm. They don't have to do fact checking. They just got to keep time and mention that the question was not answered. That's it. You do that with somebody who is completely impartial and it's a rotating group of people inside that organization. You don't know their political affiliations, nothing. That is it. No crowds, fucking nerd, and and Mike's shut off. That's it. That's a real debate, because the debate should be about the people on stage. It should not be about a pop from an audience. It should not be about how the person asked the question. Just straight up facts. Frankly, if you wanted to put a goddamn robot out there to just chat GPT to spit out the question, that would be fine with me. But it should just be those two on the stage answering questions. That is it. No pomp and circumstance. And by the way, if you want to come out to pomp and circumstance, I would be fine with that. That would be okay. So next up, Trump may have been given $10 million by Egypt. So $10 million cash withdrawal drove secret probe into whether Trump took money from Egypt. This is an interesting story. You want to take this one?
Yeah, and it's weird because it kind of appeared over the weekend and then disappeared just as quickly. And I'd really like to understand why this isn't getting more play. And I think I know why it's not. But let's talk about the story first. So basically, after Donald Trump had won the 2017 election, before he was president, a bank manager in Cairo got a letter from the Egyptian intelligence service telling him to withdraw $10 million from the intelligence services account in cash. And then they would have people come pick it up and carry the bags away. And essentially what seems like happened is that $10 million went to Trump, and it was given to him by Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who is the president of Egypt, and wanted to give him that money to boost his 2016 campaign. Now, for those who don't realize, it is illegal, highly illegal, to take campaign contributions from foreign governments, from really anyone from foreign, from not in the U.S., but especially from foreign governments. And so basically, what happened is after this happened, Trump became president. Sisi was one of the first guests that he invited to the White House. A lot of the policies that his administration. Say again?
Nothing to see here.
Yeah, nothing to see here. And a lot of the policies that the Trump administration advanced were beneficial to Egypt in a lot of ways as well. So DOJ caught wind of this, and they started investigating, as the Department of Justice does. So they started kind of looking into it to see, what happened here, where did this money go, who did it, and then magically, just a few months after the probe started, Bill Barr, good old Billy Barr, who became Attorney General, says, I don't know if there's enough evidence here to continue this probe, so maybe we should just shut it down and let's not talk about this anymore. Also, apparently, he instructed Christopher. Yeah, he also instructed Christopher Wray, who's the director of the FBI, to impose, quote, adult supervision, end quote, on FBI agents that Barr thought were hell-bent on pursuing the Trump records as part of this probe. And basically, Barr then the Jesse Liu, who's the U.S. attorney in D.C., was personally examining this case. I think, if I recall correctly, she was asked to leave the administration for an unknown reason, and then the person that Barr put in place basically said, we're closing this probe, and there's not enough evidence here to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, so we're just gonna go ahead and sweep this under the rug, and nobody needs to know about this at all.
Nothing to see here, guys. Again, when liberals say that this race in 2016 was on some bullshit, and people go, conspiracy theory. Yeah, no, I have a theory that a conspiracy happened. You're correct. in the very true sense of the word. Yeah.
And even if you take any possible conspiracy at it, if Trump did receive a huge illegal campaign contribution from a foreign government, that violates federal election law. That is a major fucking crime. Now, I think the reason that this story didn't land the way that it should have is because the case is past the statute of limitations. So it's not like that the current Justice Department could even take it up if they wanted to investigate it. So I think that's why it kind of moved on. I think it would be very useful for some surrogates to really glom onto this news because, again, highly illegal to take money from a foreign government for your campaign.
Now, here's the thing. I agree with you. I think that it's not a matter of whether or not you can nail him on it now, because you can, right? Statute of limitations, that's that whole thing. But boy, isn't information just fun to have? And so if you just have this in your back pocket as a, bro, look at this shit we've exposed that this guy did. Is he going to go to jail? No. Is he going to get indicted? No. But here are the facts. And that to me matters, because you need to be able to one, you need to be able to figure out, okay, if this happened and CC, immediately got, brought to the White House, and what benefits did they have? You need to be able to say this happened and look down the line of the other things that have happened with U.S. and Egypt relations under Trump. Because you don't pay $10 million likely for one thing. And if you pay $10 million once and it was successful and you got what you wanted, it's very unlikely that you haven't paid more money or other people have not paid money to get similar deals. And so, sometimes it's more of a spider. Sometimes it's more of a spider situation. So fucking.
Well, and with Sisi specifically, is people might not remember. So Sisi became president of Egypt in 2013 through a military coup. And so a lot of State Department officials, in fact, I think the official position of the country at that time was to not officially recognize his rule in Egypt, like they wouldn't go as far to recognize him. Trump had taken the same approach. He met with Sisi in September of 2016 at the UN General Assembly, and after the meeting, all of a sudden Trump's position on Egypt changed. Like they said, oh, he's a great guy. Will be a loyal friend to Egypt if I win the presidency. Trump publicly said that he was that he was an awesome guy and stuff like that. So it sure seems like that. There's a lot of smoke here. Is what I'll say about it. It sure is interesting that Bill Barr, as soon as he got in, was just like, let's put the kibosh on. So, expose in the Post. I highly recommend that everybody check this whole article out. It's not too long, but there's a lot of details that we're not going over. But there sure is a lot of smoke for there to be absolutely no fire in this case.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. So, yeah, all right. Well, there you fucking go. Again, this dude is corrupt to the fucking hilt. And look, I stand by it, and you can call me a fucking conspiracy theorist all you want. But there has never been a proper explanation as to why the Trump campaign in 2016 gave campaign data through Paul Manafort to the Russians. Why? There's no fucking answer. Spoiler alert, you know what the answer is. They wanted that data because they were fucking using it. What the hell? Come on. To what degree? Who knows? But you don't give internal campaign data to a foreign entity and go, don't do anything with it. Just hold it. Could you just print it out and just hold it? Because we might need it later and you guys have space on your shelf or something. That's not how that works. It's a ludicrous standpoint. So I still stand by, if we had true transparency, I can guarantee you that campaign is way fucking shadier than it is being presented. Far worse than I think we realize. I mean, all the traveling to the Seychelles and all of that shit was super weird, man. It was just super fucking weird. And not in the general political weirdness. This is some international, very corrupt shit. And that they had a guy who was willing to do anything because he wanted power. Well,
the good news is that most of the time, if it doesn't get investigated properly, people that do this shit have a real hard time holding on to these secrets to their grave because they really want everyone to know how fucking clever and awesome they were. So, like, as Giuliani falls into poor health and stuff like that, like, we might see a lot of these stories emerge either from him or in, like, memoirs or notes or stuff like that.
Yep.
That you'll see after he kicks it. So,
and then I pulled my pants down in that movie. Worth it. Like, oh God. Okay, that's the end of the free portion for this week's episode of Look Forward. Make sure you go to lookforwardshow.com/premium. Sign up for premium content. It's only $5 a month or $50 for the full year.